All right, guys, we've actually got huge stuff right now regarding Jim Harbaugh. OMG, is it finally happening? It's a meme at this point. Once again, Jim Harbaugh, we've got NFL rumors expected to leave Michigan if he receives an NFL head coaching offer. And you can see Michigan head football coach Jim Harbaugh expected to leave according to multiple sources within the Athletic. I think it's a done deal if he gets an offer that is according to a source, and apparently has a $3 million buyout. So guys, we know about Jim Harbaugh last year having multiple meetings with the Minnesota Vikings, going so far as to having a meeting on National Signing Day when Michigan was signing their 2022 class. If I'm Michigan at this point, I'm really irritated with all of this crap, and it feels like it's going to happen this year. I mean, it's been 3 straight years. Really, last year it was crazy. This year, if he actually starts interviewing, if you are Michigan, at what point do you get annoyed by this? He says he doesn't want to go, but then he takes interviews. Who knows, guys? Obviously, his stock right now extremely high. He's beaten Ohio State the last 2 years. And Michigan football in a really weird spot right now after the loss to TCU. You know, they beat Ohio State, but their recruiting is still bad. I will say, if you are a Michigan fan and you're hoping to keep Harbaugh, they've done a really good job through the transfer portal. So if you've got kids coming in that are transferring, you would think that Harbaugh is telling those kids that are transferring in that he will be here for next season. So that is huge stuff regarding Jim Harbaugh possibly going to the Denver Broncos. I originally thought maybe Indianapolis would behoove him. Denver certainly is an interesting spot with Russell Wilson. See if he can turn that around. We know how good he was as an NFL head coach, but this is something that will be monitored. And again, if you're a Michigan fan, at what point does this get annoying? Because his recruiting classes are getting really bad. I understand he's doing well in the portal. I understand he's beaten Ohio State 2 straight years. That's all great. It's phenomenal. But it's like you keep taking these interviews, we're not going to be able to recruit. It's already hard enough with NIL. I would be starting to get a little angry. At some point, you have to either go all in or just go to the NFL. So we'll see if he actually interviews for these jobs. But the latest report that came out today, if he does get an offer, he interviewed for the Minnesota job, took multiple interviews. If he gets an offer, and he very well might if he does interview because he's had a great few seasons with the Wolverines, he would leave. That's what the intel is saying. It said that multiple times. I understand it, but that is the recent data on that. And then we've got another major update here regarding Ryan Day. And guys, I'm starting to really like Ryan Day again in regards to how he's handled the situation against Georgia, being very fired up. If you guys don't know, Ryan Day, for the first time basically in his entire coaching career, showed legitimate emotion on the sideline against Georgia. Yes, they ended up losing. It was a very hard-fought game. They played well. And now Ryan Day is doing what a lot of Ohio State fans and people within the media wanted him to do last year. He is possibly giving up play calling and being more of a general type head coach, to where right now it seems like he's much more of an offensive coach or an offensive coordinator than a head coach. He gives up the play calling, still has a good input in the offense. That's what I think is going to happen. He'll tell the, whatever offensive coordinator they go with, what he likes and things like that. But it's more important Ryan Day is more of a game manager as a head coach rather than a de facto offensive coordinator, which is what it's been the past few years. And also his play calling has been a little bit suspect based on the talent that Ohio State has. So that could be big for Ohio State. We'll have to see if it ends up happening. But the big news, guys, Jim Harbaugh possibly going back to the NFL, Ryan Day giving up play calling. And then just another thing I wanted to share because it is funny. This is basically the final FPI update. I mean, there still is a few games left, but you guys can take a look at Texas in front of TCU. So Texas has 4 more losses than TCU, and they're still in front of them. You got to love the FPI. But guys, you actually understand the FPI metric. It's based off of numbers and gambling and things like that. Georgia 1, Alabama at number 2, Ohio State 3, Michigan 4, Tennessee 5, Utah at 6. I really do like Utah football. I really do. And guys, Utah beating USC the way they did, they're really going to be valued even with the 3 losses. Texas with 5 losses, they've had a lot of close losses, but yeah, it's funny that they're at number 7. Penn State at number 8, they had a great season, but they really had no good wins. Maybe they'll beat Utah in an hour. We'll see. Clemson at number 9, and then TCU, who was in the actual national championship, they are at number 10. And guys, I am very concerned. I said it earlier. For the overall ratings of this TCU-Georgia game, I'm going to throw up the stat right now. You can see record ratings for the 2 semifinal games. Absolutely epic. A combined 170 points scored between the 2 of them. By far the best playoff semifinal day in college football history. It's only been like 8 or 9 years, but still, it was sensational. It was amazing. But unfortunately now, we are left with Georgia, who just won last year, so it's a repeat, it's a retread, versus TCU, who has a very small fan base. So guys, very concerned about this. Apparently what they're saying is Michigan was so confident they were going to make the national championship, they bought up a bunch of tickets in LA, and now, I mean, they were 7-8 point favorites. Now that they lost, they are trying to get rid of them. There might be a lot of empty seats in the national championship game between Georgia and, how about Georgia? Georgia fans are doing a lot of traveling. Back-to-back national titles. Are they going to travel for it after just being in the Peach Bowl? I don't know. I'm concerned for college football. I think it would be crazy. Could you imagine an Ohio State-Michigan national championship? Ohio State, they've been in the title a few times. Michigan hasn't been in forever. In a rematch, it would have been ridiculous. I'm just saying it would have been ridiculous. Either way, we're not getting it. And we're actually getting some updates, going the other way here with Jim Harbaugh. And again, I think you've got to be a bit annoyed if you're a Michigan fan. You've got to commit to the university at some point. I know a lot of people shrug off the rumors and say it's just talk. It's not just talk if he interviews with the team on National Signing Day. That is directly hindering your recruiting. That's just not good. I mean, it's just there's a problem if you're a recruit that might want to sign with Michigan and your head coach is interviewing for a head coaching job on National Signing Day, which is what happened last year. If he takes more interviews this year, I don't know. This whole thing just keeps dragging on with Harbaugh possibly going to the NFL. And here is a tweet highlighting the timeline here with Adam Schefter saying the Broncos will be ultra aggressive to land a top head coaching target. Also saying Denver has been doing homework on Jim Harbaugh. Broncos have reached out to Harbaugh, that according to another source, all within the last 24 hours. So it's hard to take this all seriously because it seems to happen every single year. But last year it did look like it was very close to happening between Harbaugh and Minnesota, and it fell through. If he does start interviewing with these teams, I think that's a bad sign if you're a Michigan fan, but we do hear about this every year. So that is the latest on the Jim Harbaugh situation. We'll have to see what happens in regards to that. It's just weird with Michigan recruiting as bad as they have, and I understand the whole idea of going through the portal and things like that, but it is a risky proposition when you're landing about 60-70% 3-stars and trying to compete with Ohio State and although they did beat Ohio State with less talent, if you can give me the option, would you rather have more talent or less talent? I'm always going to take more talent. Even if I lose, I'm always going to take more talent. So we will see what happens with this whole situation. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.